Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. I would like, on behalf of the Aquarian Wisdom Retreat Association, welcome here, all of you. And actually, today is a very special day because we are celebrating our third anniversary of the beginning of the association. And I also think that all of you here know that there are several important festivals during the year, among them the full moon. And we, as an association, always gather together here to do a meditation and a webinar that is facilitated by Philip, that will be here also with us today. And today we are holding the first solstice meeting because equinoxes and solstices are also of extraordinary importance and power when a group gather together for this powerful invocative meditation. So that's why we decided to hold with you this date today, beginning the solstice meeting meditation. And without further ado, I would like to welcome here the president of the association, Philip. Happy anniversary, Philip Lindsay, with you. Thank you.
You bet. Thanks so much, Natalia. Yes, we incorporated our association legally on the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in the first degree of Aquarius in December around 20th or the 22nd, 2020. So this is our third birthday. Happy birthday to us. And as Natalia was saying, these equinoxes and solstices are as important as the full moons, really. They are the 4 quarters of the year, the 4 points of the cardinal cross of Capricorn, Cancer, Aries, Libra. Before I go on, I just check if my sound is okay.
Yes, the sound is okay, Philip. The display is the working mode. If you can put the presentation mode, please, on the file.
Yeah, when I do with Word, though, it goes into into another format. It messes everything up. So, unfortunately, we just keep it in this one for now. So welcome those of you who are new to this, our group, our service work here with the meditations. We'll be doing the full moon meditation today that we normally do for all the full moon festivals. We could do a fancy solstice one with visualizations of Stonehenge and so forth, but we'll keep it, I think, to the full moon format because it's got so much in it in terms of visualization and so forth. Just a few other things to mention before we go into meditation. Maybe wait for a few latecomers. This solstice period, of course, goes for 3 days. It culminates on Christmas Day, and solstice meaning sun stands still, and we'll go more into explaining about that later in the talk. Which is an optical illusion where the sun appears to rise in the same place every day as it moves from southern to northern declination, astronomically speaking. So it's a great festival of renewal, regeneration, the light that emerges from the darkest time of the year, the longest day, or the shortest sunlight day, the longest darkness day, if you like. So it has great symbolism, and of course it's the first degree of Capricorn, the sign of the goat, the sign of the mountaintop of spiritual initiation. So just to mention a few of these things to perhaps touch upon, reflect upon when you're in the meditation. And we'll explore more about the astronomy of the solstices and equinoxes later. And also a little bit about Stonehenge, which I've been looking into much deeper today, and why they have the huge turnout of people every year for both the winter and summer solstices. But for now, I think we'll go into the meditation proper. So I'm just going to stop my video and just allow everyone to take a deep breath and release all the tension and activity of the day thus far. Tuning in to the world group that is meditating in all parts of the planet. On this highly important festival. And so we sound the Om 3 times for personal and group alignment. Visualizing light pouring through the 3 bodies of the personality, mental, emotional, and physical. We visualize the personality aligned, integrated, radiating light. And similarly, we see the greater light of the soul approaching the lesser light of the personality. 2 orbs of light moving to one another, absorbing 2 spheres into one greater radiance. Soul and personality aligned individually and as a group of those who are serving in this meditation today. And so we start the first stage of this meditation, which is called letting in the light. Group fusion. We affirm the fact of group fusion and integration within the heart center of the new group of world servers, mediating between the hierarchy and humanity. And so we sound the formula for group integration. I am one with my group brothers, and all that I have is theirs. May the love which is in my soul pour forth to them. May the strength which is in me lift and aid them. May the thoughts which my soul creates reach and encourage them. Stage 2, alignment. We project a line of lighted energy toward the spiritual hierarchy of the planet, the planetary heart, the great ashram of Sanat Kumara, and towards the Christ or Lord Maitreya at the heart of hierarchy. And then we extend the line of light towards Shambhala, the center where the will of God is known. Stage 3, higher interlude. Hold the contemplative mind open to the extraplanetary energies streaming into Shambhala and radiated through hierarchy. Hold the contemplative mind open to these extraplanetary energies. Using the creative imagination, endeavor to see the three planetary centers, Shambhala, hierarchy, and humanity, gradually coming into alignment and interplay. And we can add the intermediary group, the new group of world servers situated between hierarchy and humanity. Stage 4, meditation. Let us reflect upon the seed thought for Capricorn. Lost am I in light supernal, and on that light I turn my back. Lost am I in light supernal, and on that light I turn my back. Stage 5, precipitation. Using the creative imagination, visualize the energies of light, love, and the will to good pouring throughout the planet and becoming anchored on Earth in prepared physical plane centers through which the plan can manifest. And so we use the sixfold progression of divine love as the sequence of energy precipitation from Shambhala to hierarchy to the Christ, to the new group of world servers, to men and women of goodwill everywhere, to the physical centers of distribution. So we use creative imagination to visualize the energies of light, love, and the will to good pouring through all these different stages. Stage 6, lower interlude. Refocus the consciousness as a group within the periphery of the great ashram. And together, sound the affirmation. In the center of all love I stand. From that center I, the soul, will outward move. From that center I, the one who serves, will work. May the love of the divine self be shed abroad in my heart, through my group, and throughout the world. Visualize the downpouring spiritual inflow released from Shambhala through the hierarchy and streaming into humanity through the prepared channel. And consider how these inpouring energies are establishing the pathway of light, the coming world teacher, the Christ. Stage 7, distribution. As we sound the great invocation, visualize the outpouring of light and love and power from the spiritual hierarchy through the 5 planetary centers: London, Darjeeling, New York, Geneva, Tokyo, irradiating the consciousness of the whole human race. Great invocation. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center, where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center, which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Restore the plan on earth. Thank you very much, everyone. Before we get started, feel free to share anyone if they have anything they would like to share from the meditation, or prefer just to keep quiet. Okay. So, I was saying earlier on, Capricorn solstice and initiation. What I'm reading from here is one essay that I have of several essays on the equinoxes and solstices on my website. There is one about Christmas in Capricorn, which I go into much deeper, but this is not it. So as I said, the solstice means literally sun, sol, stand still, dry. When the sun is at its greatest distance from the celestial equator in winter or summer, depending on the hemisphere during the Cancer Capricorn solar cycle. So here we have these celestial spheres, it's called. It's a good diagram to go back to at some point on my website or on the internet, and find this diagram and just examine it for 10 minutes or longer, just to get a handle on the instruction, the astronomical law that is being expressed. So the planet is oriented towards the North Pole, and I've explained this in a lot of my newsletters. Hence, the Northern Hemisphere's symbolism of winter is appropriate for the whole planet. Even though it's summer in the Southern Hemisphere, the Northern Hemisphere's symbolism is important because we are oriented to the North Pole star, the planet as a whole. Polaris, the pole star, the star of reorientation, the art of refacing and recovering that which is lost. Paraphrasing there from esoteric astrology. Hence, celebrating the winter solstice season globally, according to the pole star orientation, creates an opportunity for powerful invocative meditation. So in this simple diagram, mainly the one on your right is the one we're going to look at. And I've got a larger version of it, which we'll look at later as well. The ecliptic represents time because its circle describes the year it takes for the Earth to move around the sun. So this is the ecliptic here, and is colored in blue. Whereas the equator represents space. There's the equator here. And it is a division made between the hemispheres, of course, the southern and northern hemispheres. Hence, the intersections between these two circles, the equinoxes and solstices, are where space and time meet. On this astrological cardinal cross of Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn, lies the possibility of transcending that illusion of space-time. These solstices and equinoxes are doorways where alignment with the eternal now can take place. On our journey to nowhere, or now here, being present within the presence, the Christmas presence, so to speak. So the winter solstice marks the first degree of Capricorn, the goat. Capricorn is the pinnacle of achievement, where the sure-footed mountain goat has picked its way up a steep and arduous path of initiation. I stumbled across a video today of mountain goats high and some rocky outcrops, and they were just sprinting almost vertically up these rocky precipices towards the top of the mountain. Incredible tenacity and strength the Capricorn has. Endurance, and really excellent use of physical energy. This has to do with the rays that come through Capricorn. The first ray of will of power, the third ray of active intelligence, the seventh ray of ceremonial order or magic. So anyway, achievement materially or spiritually, Capricorn can be, or both. And of course, it's an arduous path because it's a steep path. It's not the long and winding path. That's the circuitous route. The Capricorn is known for, as the goat, of taking the shorter but steeper and more arduous path. So we have the symbolism of the Yule log in the Northern Hemisphere as the foundation of the Christmas fire is an astronomical allegory. The world tree in many cultures is the axle or pole of the great cosmic mill, and the pole star Polaris is its peg. It depicts the rotation of Earth on an axis oriented to Polaris, as we said before, as it revolves around the sun. So in this respect, Santa Claus is actually Sanat Kumara, or Santa Kumara, the Lord of Shambhala, who tends to his world tree as its axis runs straight through Shambhala, we are told. The planetary crown chakra. He slays, so to speak, the mind and brings his presence. So we have a lovely Yule log that's quite edible down here, the Yule log cake. And we have one depiction of the world tree over here on this picture on the right. It's an extremely esoteric metaphor, this idea of the world axis and the North Pole in particular. Santa goes to the North Pole, does he not? And this is this is like a planetary inlet where energy comes in and flows out the South Pole, in fact. So the winter solstice in the Northern Hemisphere is celebrated as the birth of the Christ or soul, that is, Christ Mass, on December the 25th, the last day of this 3-day period, where the sun stands still in its transition from south to north. Capricorn is a sign of perfection, the 10th sign, the two numerals of which one is masculine, 0 feminine, so a blending of both. Hence a sign of the initiate, epitomized by that Piscean avatar we call the Christ or Lord Maitreya. And so as a sign of initiation, it harkens to many initiation traditions around the world. And we have, of course, a picture of the king's chamber on the right, the sarcophagus, which I had the privilege of lying in when I visited it many years ago. And many of the, much of the artwork of the ancient Egyptians is very esoteric as far as the weighing of the scales of karma goes, the process of initiation and so forth. And of course, the alignments of pyramids and temples to fixed stars such as Sirius or Regulus. In ancient Egyptian ritual, the candidate for initiation is raised from dead to life, the basis for the sarcophagus ritual. This is repeated in Masonry and other traditions too, of course. 3 days of the solstice period are when the candidate's body is left in the sarcophagus while she is led through the subtle realms by the guiding Hierophant and is shown stuff. 3-day transition period is also symbolic of the third initiation or the transfiguration of the personality, where the mental body is demonstrated to be in complete control over the entire threefold personality. Capricorn is a sign of mental energy with the rays of will 1357 pouring through it. The main mental energy, of course, is Saturn, the exoteric and esoteric ruler of Capricorn, the ruler of the throat chakra, which is the gateway to the mental body. That's why Capricorns are so disciplined, mentally disciplined and organized. The organization comes from the 7th ray, which comes through this sign as well. Obviously, the power of the wheel working through the mental body is a great force that must be handled responsibly, hence Capricorn's reputation as the black or white magician, the sign of grossest materiality or the most sublime spirituality. And so the greatest darkness of winter, just before the increasing light, is a profound symbol of initiation into the mysteries. Humanity's perennial search for light is the goat who seeks the green, quote unquote, the search for the soul, the true home, symbolized by the polar opposite sign Cancer. And that Christmas Yule log cake, that's a good symbol of Cancer too. Making food, stuff to eat. Many traditions have placed great importance upon the solstice through rituals such as the Celtic Druids and their astronomical instrument, so-called Stonehenge. Now, you can see, I'm not sure, I'm just trying to expand this picture a bit. There's the ritual that the Druids do annually, Stonehenge. This picture here, we're going to I'm going to show you another picture of it later, another diagram, but the so-called heel stone is up here at the sunrise of the winter solstice. That's what everyone is gathering at Stonehenge for tonight, in fact, in Britain. And the exact time of the ingress of the sun into Capricorn is going to be at 3:27 a.m. in Universal Time or GMT. But they'll be waiting for the sunrise, the sun to come up. And when it does come up, providing it's not cloudy, it will cast a shadow from this so-called heel stone. You can see that stream of light going right in to the altar stone, which sits in the middle of this circle. This circle is quite complex. There are many different circles, which we'll get into in a minute. So the solstices and equinoxes reflect a greater cosmic pattern of spiritual law that is available for earthly alignment. The cardinal cross of Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn. And here's another old diagram that shows the various geometries. There's an incredible amount of sacred geometry within this that is super accurate astronomically and geometrically. Of course, this is not the whole circle. Half of it has fallen down or disappeared. We're going to look at the full circle in a minute. So it can be seen as an astrological calendar. These concentric circles here represent these orbits of various planets around the sun, the center being the sun. But there's a lot of conjecture about this amongst different thinkers as to whether it is a solar calendar or not. I think it is. It's quite logical in many ways. These circles represent, these concentric rings here represent cycles of other planets around the sun. One point of view, the central circle can be seen as the Earth, but that would be more a geocentric and not a solar view. Parallel to human celebrations at these times are the great festivals of angels and devas. The archangels Michael or Raphael assist in the manifestation of spiritual energy upon the earth. They are in contact with the new impulses generated at solstices and equinoxes and manifest them into patterns more accessible to humanity via the Buddhic and mental planes of consciousness. Capricorn, as an earth sign and a sign of magical manifestation, is in some ways the most materialistic and spiritual sign of the zodiac. Hence the dichotomy of Christmas, on the one hand, hijacked by materialistic forces that have replaced its original values with excess and indulgence. Yet on the other hand, there remains a steadfast recognition of the values of love, charity, peace, brotherhood, albeit paid scant lip service by many during the Christmas period, with a quick reversion to the old, more comfortable, selfish ways not long after. Be that as it may, however, many people are saying bring back Christmas rather than calling it the holidays, which is a very generic thing that's been dumbed down to, is to really come back and recognize what Christmas is from the spiritual point of view, and not necessarily the Christian point of view, from the spiritual point of view. And of course, Capricorn represents this mountain of initiation. And here is a picture of mighty Everest, the highest mountain in the world, at around 29,000 feet, through which many people have perished trying to climb, and about which the Tibetan master Dwars Kul makes a comment in one of his books. Capricorn's summit, Mount Everest, the attempt today to climb Mount Everest, this was written before 1953, is amazingly symbolic, and it is being watched with much interest by the hierarchy. For in this effort, we see the attempt of humanity to achieve the top of the mountain whose height has hitherto defeated all efforts. But, and this is the matter of moment and of interest, when humanity emerges into the light and relative glory of the new civilization, they will at the same time conquer the last remaining summit, that which is the densest materiality and which is, I just got to drag this thing away, and that, and which is the consummation of earthly grandeur will remain, but it will be beneath the feet of humanity. I think he's hinting, in fact, at the age after the age of Aquarius, in 2,000 years, approximately, we'll see the beginning of the age of Capricorn. And by that time, human evolution will have accelerated to an extraordinary pace, where a lot of people will actually take this exalted initiation, the third initiation, which is regarded by the hierarchy as the first initiation into the consciousness of the solar system. So I'm going to stop sharing that and share another page now. And before we go any further, please put any questions or comments in the chat, and I can address them. I'll take a pause, sip of water. All right, it's a bit to take in, I know. Now, here's one of many diagrams that you can find on the internet and in books of Stonehenge. In its completion, so you'll see the major circle of trilithons, as they're called, these two uprights with one lintel going across, joined together in a perfect circle, and 5 trilithons in a horseshoe shape in the center. Is that big enough? And is that hard to see at all? Shall I make it a little bit bigger? Oh, I think that's as big as I can go. And of course, there's an outer mound going all the way around. There's the entrance here. So in a sense, it's like some of the tumuli that you see, like Newgrange in Ireland, like the entrance into a womb. In fact, the altar inside this horseshoe shape is the feminine. It's a horizontal stone on the ground. There's another debate about whether it used to stand up or whether it's fallen over, or whether it's meant to be horizontal. But this heel stone here, which is quite high, it weighs about 25 tons, I believe. Of course, the stones within the circle are many, many tons each. This heel stone takes its meaning from the Greek helios, which means sun, which is appropriate because the sun is shining down this path here and hitting the heel stone, which is at the winter solstice, cast a shadow all the way through these two pillars here, through the trilithons, into the sacred center, if you like, the hearth, the altar, and so the masculine spirit meets with feminine matter. There's a divine marriage, if you like, that takes place. And of course, in that divine marriage emerges the child or the son or the Christ principle or the soul principle. Now, there are many different holes in the ground here, the so-called Z holes, the Y holes. But inside the circle, there are the blue stones. there's the special stones that transmit a very high frequency of energy, and apparently they relate to the cycle of Venus, which of course we know is the higher self to this planet. Our Earth is the sister planet to Earth, and which rules the fifth ray of science or knowledge. And of course, the number 5 is the mental plane. The fifth plane of perception is the mental plane, and on the higher mental plane resides the causal body of the soul. And you'll notice that there are 5 trilithons here in this horseshoe shape in the center. So that's one perspective. And we move on to the next diagram, which is similar. It shows the heel stone or the Helios stone here. And of course, it shines through in wintertime. The other end, the other side of the formation is the sunset. And some people maintain that that's more important. If we look at the fact that the sunrise is emblematic of the sign Aries, and sunset the emblematic of the sign Libra, then the whole cardinal cross is invoked at the winter and summer solstices through the Cancer Capricorn axis. And so we have the Libra Aries axis that crisscrosses that axis, that is invoked through the symbolism of the sun, which is exalted in Aries. So again, the premise that Stonehenge is a solar calendar, a solar astronomical observatory, you might say. But then there's the whole area of the looking at the electromagnetism of these different stones. Of course, these blue stones were quarried 150 miles away in Wales, and no one knows how they got there. You know, there's all sorts of preposterous theories of how these very heavy stones were carted from such a long distance, but essentially they were transported through the air by magic, through the laws of sound that rendered the stones weightless, as in many other places in the world, like South America and other megalithic structures all over the world. They had that technology then that has been lost because it was abused probably, but which is coming back very soon in this Aquarian age. In fact, they're already developing some technologies on a very minor scale that relates to this. So the tales about Merlin, the wizard, the magician, the great seventh ray archetype who transported these stones from Wales, I think have a grain of truth, if not are completely true. All right, so it's called a Sarsen circle. These main big stones, half of which have fallen down. I think there's only about 43 of them left. Are called the Sarsen circle. The blue stones are just inside the Sarsen stones. And there's actually more detail, but it's not, you can't see it in this diagram. And there's the heel stone there again. And in this diagram, we see the same heel stone over here and the sun coming through in sunrise into the very center. And these points here, making this perfect parallelogram, rectangle, are related to the lunar calendar. So it's not just a solar calendar, it's a lunar calendar as well. And a planetary calendar, probably, with these other circles of the planets. So there are literally thousands of theories that people have written about over the centuries about Stonehenge. And there's a wealth of information there and some really interesting ideas and some really crazy ones too. So there you have another perspective. And according to sacred geometrists, these lines line up perfectly. And there's all sorts of wonderful, very beautiful geometrical symbolism that people have done with Stonehenge, and of course many other sites like this around the world. But what I wanted to get to just before, I just forgot to get to, was the fact that these stones, like the Great Pyramid and many other structures, have different types of stones in them with different electromagnetic properties that transmit or that receive and transmit energy. So essentially, just about all of these megalithic structures all around the world are an electromagnetic grid that brings through the energies, astronomical, astrological energies. And with the ritualized, with the rituals that the Druids and other groups do, they harness this energy, they bring it in and they anchor it. That is the whole point of those rituals. Also, some of these stones, particularly the blue stones, have sonic properties. So they have they've done these scientific tests where they've shown how the stones have make a ringing sound. And of course, with other stones like Carnac in France and Brittany and Hulgoat in France, and all around the world, of course, it is said that many of these stones are embodied, have Blavatsky says in The Secret Doctrine, they hold the history of the earth within them. And some of them are actually embodied by living beings. So interesting ideas here. Anyway, the station stones is a description of this diagram here. The station stones form a rectangle whose diagonals intersect at 45 degrees, very close to the center of Stonehenge. The sides and diagonals of this rectangle possess what Gerald Hawkins calls astronomic significance, and so forth and so on. Gerald Hawkins is one of the granddaddies of Stonehenge, writing many books and so forth on this subject. So this picture here shows the shadow that it's cast on the heel stone or Helios or the sunstone. Some people say it's the Sun-Jupiter stone, which is interesting because both these bodies are the co-rulers of the second ray of love wisdom and also of the heart chakra. But the shadow is cast right the way through the middle here. Unfortunately, most of the researchers, New Age and otherwise, archaeologists, all use a pitifully small timeline for when Stonehenge was built, around about 5,000 plus BC, when in fact Blavatsky points out that it was about 850,000 years ago. And I detail these timelines in my book, Unveiling Genesis, Mysteries of the Root Races and Cycles. I'm currently writing a new book now called Geography, Geology and Giants, or GGG, to follow the book called HHH. And this is exploring in far more detail these megalithic structures around the world, as per Blavatsky's comments from The Secret Doctrine, using that as a basic foundation for my commentaries. So, and these timelines, of course, are incredibly hard to get your head around, given all our cultural conditioning that we've had, that has come a lot of which has come from the Christian Bible, that has truncated the time cycles with a ridiculous history, and it's been kind of lodged as crystallized propaganda for many years and still influences many generations of thinkers around the world. All right, so sunrise at the winter solstice at Stonehenge is the first degree of Capricorn, the goat, as the sun shines over the masculine heel or Helios stone or menhir, as they're called, the upright menhir. It casts a shadow between the standing stones that reaches to the altar in the center. Hence the sacred marriage between heaven, sun, and earth, the center of the circle. The vertical masculine heel stone joins with the feminine horizontal altar. This occurs when the sun is at its lowest point of the year on the shortest day, as it prepares to move northward above the ecliptic towards the next quarter of the year, the spring equinox. Solstice means sun stands still, as I said before, etc., etc. Ends on Christmas Day, representing renewal, regeneration, the birth of Christ's soul consciousness, as I said before, the light that emerges from the darkest time of the year. The polarities of Capricorn Cancer represent the masculine and the feminine, the father and the mother. Their union gives birth to the Christ child or soul. Hence the symbolism of Jesus in the major. And of course, he was an advanced initiate who gave over his body to the one who held the office of the Christ 2,000 years ago, the last 3 years of his ministry. And the rest is history, as we say. So here's a picture of the altar in the center of the horseshoe of trilithons. The polar opposite zodiac signs of Capricorn Cancer are the two great gates of the zodiac, one opening the door into incarnation, into mass life, and into human experience, is Cancer, whilst the other opens the door into the life of the spirit, the life of the kingdom of God, Capricorn, which is the life and purposes of the hierarchy of our planet. Again, we have this celestial sphere diagram. You might be able to see more clearly the ecliptic and the equator and their intersection at these points, the autumn equinox, vernal equinox, the winter solstice, which is where we are now, and the summer solstice in the northern hemisphere. Cancer is the mother who brings the newborn child into incarnation. Capricorn is the father, as symbolized by its ruler Saturn, who with his scythe reaps the harvest or the life that's been lived, hence relates to death. Yet for the incarnating soul, the Cancer gateway can be considered death of the spiritual realm, having to incarnate in dense, lower vibrating matter. Similarly, Capricorn's theme of death is birth back into the spiritual realm. Hence, I just mentioned some of this stuff, so I'm going to skip some of that. And I just have some stuff about the higher rulerships as well, Venus and Neptune. I'm going to put this together into a newsletter at some point. And there is another diagram of the circle with the various planetary circles indicated, Mercury, Mars, Venus, and so forth. And I've just been looking at some stuff here with the blue stones again. According to local legend, the blue stones possess magical and healing properties. And there's the information there about how some of them sound an interesting note. They have a healing power, and they're bought. Yeah, I mentioned all that too. Something to look at anyway. The blue stones that were carted all that way, and which you can buy as jewelry and so forth. They have this substance in them, or part of the bluestone is what they call green dolerite, which is highly valued substance spiritually, apparently. So it conducts, obviously it conducts a certain electrical energy that is conducive to the opening of the heart, actually, they mention. So that just about, yes, that's enough, I think, for one evening. Please feel free, just in the couple of minutes we have left, to make any comments or ask any questions, clarifications. Bearing in mind, we're going to have another meditation on the 26th of December for the full moon on the 27th of December. So we'll be all meeting again, same time, same place, in several days' time. No one? Okay, then I shall stop sharing here and hand it back over to you, Natalia. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming, and see you next time.
So thank you, Philip, so much. Thank you all for coming today, and we hope to see you next week at Full Moon Meditation. Thank you. Have a great rest of the day.
Goodbye, everyone. Ciao.